Good Sunday afternoon. I'm Chief Meteorologist Emily Walls. We are back with you now. There's now a confirmed tornado that is now beginning to cross the county line with Kankakee County from Iroquois County. So what you're looking at here, this debris detector, this is showing us actually an area of debris that's lofted up into the air. So where you see this discoloration, this is at the county line of Iroquois and Kankakee. That is where we now have debris that is being lofted in the air. So this is just west of Route 1. For those of you in this area, it is time to get to your safe space. Again, we do have a line of severe storms rolling through, and we now have a confirmed tornado in this region. So let's switch things over. I want to show you the storm relative velocity, because what this is looking at here is it's almost a little bit hard to see, but something that we really have to keep in mind is that we're pretty far away from the radar site itself. And when that happens, unfortunately, you don't get a very clear picture of what's near the ground. However, that product that I was just showing you, the debris detector, that is indeed confirming that this is a tornado on the ground, because we're seeing those debris that are lofted now up into the atmosphere. So where you see Route 1, in the center of the arrows that I just drew, this is the area of circulation that we are most concerned about. So again, we do have this confirmed tornado warning that is now including northern Iroquois County and southern Kankakee County. If you are in this region, if you know somebody within this area, or even traveling through, this is a really big travel day for people coming home from the holidays. Unfortunately, this is going to be a rain-wrapped tornado at this point. It's not something that you're going to be able to see coming. So again, for those of you in this region, this blinking purple box that I have here on the screen, what this is telling us is this is now a confirmed tornado warning, and there's torrential downpours with this as well. Let's go back and look at the debris detector here. So again, where you're seeing those brighter shades of yellows, the oranges showing up here, that is suggesting that we actually have debris that's in the air. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put on a track of where this debris ball is near Route 1, drag it off toward the east-northeast, because this is the motion of this storm. It's moving to the east at about 50 to 55 miles per hour. Fortunately, this isn't a terribly populated area, but regardless, of course, people still live here. This is still people's homes and their property, and that's why we're here on the air with you right now. So Hopkins Park, this is going to be essentially overhead at about 4 p.m. and Schneider by about 4:14 p.m. So for those of you in Hopkins Park, you have a few minutes here before this is basically going to be moving right overhead, and this is now a confirmed tornado. You know, we're at the end of December going into January. This really isn't the time of year where people are oftentimes thinking about severe thunderstorms or severe weather, but the setup that we have today, we have a very, very strong cold front that's moving through, and there's enough spin in the atmosphere and veering of those winds that we are starting to see some brief spin ups here along this line. So again, for those of you in Hopkins Park, this is heading your way very shortly. The storm relative velocity, I will say over the last scan or so, it appears like that couplet is at least a little bit less. It's not quite as strong as what it was even about 5 minutes ago. But regardless, the setup that we have right now, we're going to see these brief little spin-ups being possible through the afternoon. So again, what we have here is a line of strong to severe thunderstorms that is currently moving through the southern section of the viewing area. For those of you that are in Kankakee County, Newton, and Jasper counties, we do have a tornado watch that's remaining in effect until 8 p.m. I do feel confident that the overall severe threat is likely going to be over by about 5:30, 6 p.m. or so. But the reason that we're on the air with you right now is because of this blinking purple box here. This is a confirmed tornado warning that is in northern Iroquois County and southern Kankakee County. So the Fox 32 viewing area, it basically extends as far south as Kankakee County and then over into Newton and Jasper counties as well. So this area where you can kind of see my cursor, it's extending through Kankakee and then over into Newton and Jasper. This is all still the Fox 32 viewing area. So as long as we have a tornado warning, we're going to be staying with you here on the air. I'm going to be reading through a couple of the National Weather Service chat updates that I'm getting as well. And it's looking like a little bit of an update coming out of from an emergency manager there that says where he knows somebody that lives along the border of Kankakee and the Iroquois border there. And the folks that he knows there did not visually see anything due to the rain, but he's going to be out and about looking for damage. So again, we did have that debris ball that was showing up, which essentially tells us that there is debris that's being lofted into the air, and you can now see that getting closer and closer to Hopkins Park. The debris ball that you're seeing here, to me anyway, is looking a little bit more prominent than what we were seeing even a few moments ago, but something that we really have to keep in mind here. So this area, and I apologize for the sniffles, you're going to hear those throughout the broadcast here, but the radar site is quite a ways away from the area that I'm showing you. So radar beams, when they go out from the radar site, they essentially they gain elevation the farther away that they are. So what we're seeing essentially over southern Kankakee County, it's higher up in the atmosphere than typically what you would see, say, if you were in Will County or Lake County, Indiana, things like that. As you get closer to the radar site in Romeoville, you have a better idea of what's going on here. But we're still, again, with this debris detector, this is what's concerning me at this point. We do have, looks like now Newton County is going to be added to that tornado warning. So the latest update that I did just get in from the Weather Service is that the circulation near St. Anne, which is also heading toward Hopkins Park here, where we are seeing those yellows and the greens showing up here, there is an off-duty National Weather Service employee that just reported that they did see a tornado in this region. So again, this is a confirmed tornado. It has now been spotted by spotters. It's not just what we're seeing here from our technology standpoint, from the debris detector just in Hopkins Park, but we now have eyes on the ground that has seen this tornado. So again, for those of you in this region, this whole blinking area here in purple, this is extending from southeastern Kankakee County over into Newton County. The worst of it at this point, where we are seeing the strongest signals for that rotation, it is in Hopkins Park and then near St. Anne Woods, Leesville as well, for those of you in this region. I'm going to go ahead and zoom things way in here, put the debris ball back on. The area that I'm most concerned about is just about to cross East Central Street and Main Street in Hopkins Park. If these are ringing a bell to you, if you're in this area, if you know somebody that lives in this area, again, there is now a confirmed tornado on the ground, and we are seeing some debris that are being lofted up into the air, and we can actually pick that up from the radar as well. So this is going to be a rain-wrapped tornado. If you are seeing your streets right now on this screen, so I'll shout out a couple of them, East Central Street, Main Street in Hopkins Park, it looks like Kareem Avenue, Dickerson Street, South Ridge Road. If these are ringing a bell to you, if this is in your neighborhood, again, you do have a confirmed tornado that is now essentially moving overhead. So we're waiting on the latest scan to come in. But so far, over the last 10 to 15 minutes or so, this has held together, and there's been an additional little area here that we're seeing of a little bit of rotation. So the biggest concern at this point is where we're seeing this couplet of the reds, the greens coming together, St. Anne Woods. For those of you in this region, let's go ahead and we'll put in some of the road names for you as well. We are kind of in a very neighborhood area here in St. Anne Woods. I'm not seeing the streets popping up just yet. But it's St. Anne Woods up into Hopkins Park. That's where we do have that debris ball that is now showing up on the radar. I'm jumping over to my other computer right now, and everyone in the back, you don't have to do anything. I'm just looking at my National Weather Service chat, so just hang with me on this one. And what we're seeing is it doesn't appear to be as strong on the radar as what we were seeing earlier, but this debris ball is telling a different story here. So again, for those of you in this region, we are looking at the far southeastern extent of Kankakee County. And Guy, if you could actually run back and grab my water for me, that would be really helpful. Southeastern Kankakee County, that is where we have this confirmed tornado warning, and Newton County, you've now been added to that. So the overall motion with this is moving east-northeasterly. There's a little bit of a northeasterly component with the motion here, and it's moving at about 50 to 55 miles per hour. So let's go ahead and we'll drag some arrival times out for you. For those of you that are in Newton County, again, this is a fairly rural area, but regardless, you know, people still live here. We still have property that we're going to be watching out for in Newton County. And in Schneider, if this holds together and it takes a little bit more of a northeasterly track, then you're going to be seeing this moving overhead at about 4:14 p.m. I'm reading through some additional updates that are coming in from the National Weather Service, and we are staying with this warning at this point. It is a confirmed tornado warning in Kankakee, southeastern Kankakee County, over into Newton County. That's going to be lasting for Kankakee until 4 p.m., for Newton County until 4:30. Just give me 1 second here. I'm going to take a sip of water. One of those days, everybody, we're catching us on when we've all got colds too. Okay. Oh, that's my hair too. All right, let me get myself together. All right. Let's get back to it. I want to give you a big picture view of what's taking place here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the radar specifically. So the area of most concern obviously is where we have this tornado warning. And it's not the entire region that's seeing the storms at this time. So most of the storms are running near and south of I-80, and the area of most concern is where we have this blinking purple box. Now, there has been some signs of rotation along that line to the southern extent down toward, it looks like Route 52, but the area of most concern, the reason that we're on the air with you right now, is that bright shade of green that you're seeing showing up near Hopkins Park. So this is a product that we use to really help us identify how strong the rotation is being seen on the radar. And from Hopkins Park, just east of there, over toward the Indiana state line, so this is now very soon going to be going into Newton County, east of St. Ann Woods, east of Leesville. That's where we're seeing the strongest signs of rotation here. And if we look at the debris ball, you'll notice here over the last couple of scans, let me actually go ahead and put this on a 30-minute loop for you, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. So if I zoom this out, what I want you to focus on is there's going to be a ball of yellow, essentially, that pops up over near Clifton. This is over in Iroquois County. So this occurred about 20 minutes ago or so. Do you see that large area that's showing up in yellow and blue just west of Route 1? So that was initially where we saw this debris ball forming. Now, as we advance this over toward Hopkins Park, you can see how it's beginning to look like it's weakening, right? We're not seeing that debris ball signature nearly as strong as what we had before. So that's wonderful news. But regardless, this is still a confirmed tornado warning because this particular storm has had a history of producing a tornado. Not only were we seeing it from a radar standpoint, but somebody on the ground actually confirmed that they had seen the funnel as well. So there are going to be some crews from the National Weather Service that likely go out and about once all of this passes, and then they're going to be surveying the area to see what kind of damage was done. At this point, I'm reading through, and of course, hopefully everybody in this region is in their safe space. They're not outside trying to figure out what happened, but they will be shortly, I'm sure, as this passes by them and they're on the back side of it. But for those of you in Kankakee County, you do still have that tornado warning remaining in effect. Do not go outside just yet at this point. I'm also reading through a couple different updates. The severe thunderstorm warning over to the west and southwest. So this actually runs a little bit south of the viewing area down into Iroquois County and Ford County. That particular part of the line of the storms is actually producing 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So fortunately, the wind speeds that we're seeing here with our line of storm moving into Newton County, not quite that strong just yet, but regardless, this is a very strong thunderstorm. But the main concern, of course, the reason that we're on the air with you is because of this confirmed tornado warning that's remaining in effect across southeastern Kankakee County into Newton County. So Newton County, your tornado warning is going to remain in effect until 4:30. This runs just north of Route 24. This is just north of Kentland, but it does include Brook. It includes Morocco, and then it also goes all the way up toward the southern end of Schneider, included in this blinking purple box. That is our confirmed tornado warning. Now, one of the most helpful things that we can look at here are the storm winds, because what we're tracking is going to be your inbound and your outbound winds. So here's your inbound winds, or your outbounds, excuse me, and then your inbound winds. Where you see these little couplets coming together, that's typically what we're looking for, and that's what kind of, raises our concern of whether or not we're seeing any circulation in the atmosphere along with these storms. And we are still seeing some of that, but fortunately it's not nearly as strong as what it was not too long ago. If we turn on our rotation detector, so really what you're watching me do here is I'm just switching back and forth from one product to the other, because that really helps to confirm what we're seeing. So you always want to use multiple products to be able to confirm the data, because sometimes it's hard to tell if you're only looking at one. But go ahead and look all the way down this line of storms. We have several areas of rotation. And there's another one that is just northeast of Watseka, heading toward Iroquois. And while this particular region that I'm circling here with my cursor is actually outside of the viewing area, as soon as these storms cross the state line into Newton County, then we're going to be, staying on the air for those as well, because that is going into Newton County, which is then once again in our viewing area. So we do have this confirmed tornado warning remaining in effect until 4:30 p.m. So we still have about another 23 minutes or so left on that. If we zoom things out, we also have a tornado watch for those of you that are in Jasper County. That's going to last until 8 p.m. But I am hopeful that this thing is going to be through here. Once this line is through, I think our severe threat is likely going to drop off very, very quickly. And then after that, it's all about the winds. So after this line of storms rolls through, let me actually show you what we have coming our way. We have a wind advisory that's going to be going into effect for the entire region. That is for westerly winds gusting as high as about 50 to 55 miles per hour. So it's not just the storms that we're dealing with today. We have snow on the way tonight, and we also have those really high winds. So getting back to the radar here, we have this line of storms moving through that's all associated with the strong cold front. Following this cold front, our winds are going to be ramping up. We have a confirmed tornado warning in southeastern Kankakee County. That's going to continue into Newton County. We now have those storms moving through Newton County. For those of you in southeastern Kankakee, the warning hasn't been canceled just yet. For you, however, the worst of the storms are now east of you. So for those of you in southeastern Kankakee County, you are still technically in the warning, but the worst of it has passed. You are in the clear now. Now, looking off toward the east, Newton County, where we have those storms, let's put the rotation detector back on here, and I'm going to compare this with the storm relative velocity, see those inbounds and outbound winds. So what I'm looking at here, the area of most concern that I'm seeing is just west of Route 41. So this is just south of Conrad, north of Enos, and this is also north of, let me grab what road this is, West State Road 14. So north of West State Road 14, and or I should say north of there, and then just west of Route 41. That's where I'm seeing some signs of rotation at this point, but fortunately it really isn't quite as strong as what we were dealing with, I think, just even about 5-10 minutes ago. Now, if we confirm things over with the debris detector, so again, what I'm looking at here is a bunch of different products to try and figure out a whole picture of what we're seeing here, since I don't actually have eyes on the ground. So we're doing this all from a technology standpoint at this point. About 10 minutes ago or so, we did have a confirmed tornado that was on the ground over in portions of Iroquois County moving into southeastern Kankakee County. So we do know that it was on the ground at some point in southeastern Kankakee County. And what I'm looking at here, this area of yellow and orange that you're seeing, if I can go ahead and circle this for you. Again, this is just west of Route 41. This is what we would call a debris ball. So that is essentially showing us that there are some debris being lofted up into the air. And this could be residual from what we had on the ground previously, or this could be because it's still ongoing. But unfortunately, without me having a spotter right on the ground in this location, the best we can do at this point is just keep telling you to stay in your safe space if you are in Newton County. So we have the storm, the worst of the storm at this point, crossing Route 41. And you can see this is now east of Hopkins Park. This is near Conrad, and it's going to be heading toward Roselawn and the southern end of there. So the southern extent of Roselawn over toward Pembroke. If this is ringing a bell, this is your location. If you have friends or family in this area, again, you do have a confirmed tornado warning that is lasting until 4:30 p.m. So let's switch things over. Seeing the velocity, excuse me, we are still seeing some fairly strong signs of rotation just right at Route 41, essentially. So again, I do think if there is indeed a tornado on the ground at this point, it is likely going to be crossing Route 41 just south of Conrad, north of Enos. I'm also watching a couple other locations farther to the south over toward the severe thunderstorm warning that you see near Donovan. That's in Iroquois County, which of course is outside of the Fox 32 viewing area, but this particular storm is moving into Newton County. So that's why it's very relevant. Newton County is going to run all the way south to about Kentland there. which is Route 24. So pretty much anything north of Route 24, we're going to be covering here with you on the air. So the reason that we are on the air, of course, is this confirmed tornado warning remaining in effect until 4:30 p.m. For those of you in southeastern Kankakee, you have not been cleared from the warning just yet, but I can tell you with high confidence that the worst of the storm is now to your east. So for those of you in southeastern Kankakee, you should be free of the worst of the storms at this point. So we're moving in the right direction there. Now, for those of you in Newton County, you're kind of seeing the worst of it at this point. So we're seeing a couple different areas that could be possible brief spin-up tornadoes. But the area that I'm most concerned about is where we're seeing some of these darker shades of green showing up. So let's zoom things in here. Now the latest scan bringing this just east of Route 41. Again, this is just south of Conrad, just north of Enos, and this is west of Pembroke. So for those of you in Pembroke, you have a couple minutes here before you need to, really be in your safe space. But at this point, you should be preparing ahead for that. So far, this warning has not been extended to the east into Jasper County, but that's what we're going to be watching for. Confirming with the debris detector here, we're still seeing some discoloration, which typically does highlight that we have some debris possibly up in the air. And I did just get a notification that it looks like the tornado warning is being extended over into Jasper County. So here's your early heads up. Again, those of you in Pembroke, this is a few minutes from you at this point. And I know the map hasn't updated just yet, but it looks like the warning was just issued. So you're going to see that popping up here very shortly. Bear with me for just a moment. I'm going to take a drink of water, and then we're going to get right back to it. I'm going to give you a big picture view, and then we'll focus in on Newton and Jasper counties. Okay, here we go. So let's zoom things back out, and I want to show you essentially what's going on. And we have another tornado warning that's now across the southern extent of Newton and Jasper counties. So this now includes Kentland and Remington. And I'm getting this information all at the same time that I'm sharing it with you as well. So if you hear me break to just read a couple lines from the National Weather Service, I do apologize for that. So there's a line of severe storms that are capable of producing tornadoes along a line extending from near Kentland, which is in southern Newton County. You can see right here, just south of that purple blinking area. So there is a line of severe storms that is heading your way that is just west of Kentland, east of Watseka. And there are brief little notches that we're seeing showing up within that line. So we're seeing some areas of rotation that are popping up. And for that reason, what was that, Stace?
Channel 50, we're joining.
Okay, sounds good. We're going to be joining viewers on Channel 50 as well. So we're going to be welcoming those viewers. All right, everyone, for those of you that are joining us from My 50, thank you so much for being here. We are, of course, covering the weather because we have a lot to talk about taking place south of I-80. So big picture view here, we still have a tornado warning blinking in purple that extends from southeastern Kankakee down into Iroquois and then over into Newton County. That is because a confirmed tornado was on the ground, and that is continuing to make its way off toward the east with this line of storms. We have a new tornado warning that has been issued for southern Newton County. This now extends into southern Jasper County as well, lasting until 5 p.m. And the reason for this is because you can see this line of strong to severe thunderstorms rolling through. And along this line, there's these brief little notches that keep showing up. So the environment is really, really ripe right now for not only the storms to roll through, but there's enough spin in the atmosphere that we're seeing signs of rotation popping up here or there. So that's going to be leading to the threat of tornadoes. And we've already had one confirmed tornado. It was spotted by spotters over in Iroquois and Kankakee County, and then it moved into northern Newton County. At this point, let's go ahead and take a look at the storm relative velocity, because what this does is it gives us a really good idea of where we're seeing those brief little notches. So I'm going to turn off the warnings here for just a moment. Again, for those of you in southeastern Kankakee, Newton, all of Newton, and southern Jasper counties, you do have a tornado warning. So if you're hearing this message, make sure you're getting to your safe space. What I'm going to do is turn off the warnings here because I want to get rid of all of the excess red. There's a lot of red color showing up here. But what I'm looking for here on the storm relative velocity is this is a really helpful tool to where you can see these little notches coming together. So here's one, there's another one near Iroquois. So you see these little areas where the reds and the greens are coming together. That's giving us an idea of where we have areas of rotation. So if we compare that then to a rotation detector, that's kind of an extra little fail-safe that gives us an idea of what we're looking at here. And then you can also compare that to the debris detector. And I don't think we're seeing any signs of a debris ball with the southern extent, but again, we were seeing signs of a debris ball farther to the north in Newton County. So I want to zoom that in again. And I'm also going to put this on a track of the last 30 minutes or so, because that gives us a good idea of where this thing is going. So what I want you to focus on here is this area of orange and kind of like a yellow shading here. So this is now east of Route 41, just southeast of Conrad. What you're looking at here is signals that there's actually some debris that's been lofted up into the atmosphere. So this is part of the same exact storm. It's going to be heading toward Roselawn, Pembroke, over toward I-65. Of course, today is a really big travel day. A lot of people are coming home from the holidays. And if you know people that are driving through this area, so the south suburbs into Northwest Indiana, please, please, please give them a call, because this particular storm does have a history of producing tornadoes, and there's actually been a confirmed tornado with this particular storm. So the worst of it at this point, the latest scan for that debris ball, it hasn't quite come in at this point, so we're going to rely heavily on the radar. Where you're seeing all of the reds, the oranges, the yellows, what this is telling us is that there's really heavy rain as well. So unfortunately, as this thing is beginning to cross over I-65, it's going to be rain wrapped. You're not going to be able to see it even if there was a tornado on the ground. So for those of you, again, if you are in Newton County, Jasper counties, especially the northern extent here where you're seeing my cursor kind of circling, if you are on the northern extent of Newton and Jasper counties along I-65, that's where we are seeing some fairly decent signals for rotation. And again, we could potentially still have the tornado on the ground at this point. So the purple blinking area that you see showing up here, that is our confirmed tornado warning. If you remember me saying we had a debris ball as well as a spotter that had confirmed that we had a tornado on the ground in parts of Iroquois and Kankakee County, and then that actually continued to roll over into northern Newton County. That's why we're still tracking that particular area. Now the worst of it is beginning, at least from where you're seeing that purple shading one, that particular leg of the storm. The worst of that part is going to be crossing I-65 and over into northern Jasper counties very shortly. So for those of you in Jasper County, while you're not blinking in purple here, because we have not seen, let me just read this update coming in from Ford County. Okay, we have not seen a confirmed report coming in throughout northern Newton County just yet. So until you get that, or you see a debris ball very actively showing up here on the debris detector, then you're likely not going to have that confirmed tornado tag, the purple blinking area, being extended into Jasper. But regardless, Jasper, you still need to take this very seriously. You do have a tornado warning that's remaining in effect until about 4:45 now. So previously that was actually until 5, and it has been extended then to about 4:45. Now, the southern extent of this, I want to go back to the south to southern Newton, southern Jasper counties, because we have a pretty healthy storm that's rolling through Kentland. It's beginning to move in, so crossing Route 41. This is also traveling right along Route 24, so from Sheldon over into Kentland is where we have the heaviest rain at this point as well, and that's where we're also seeing a couple brief little spin-ups being possible. So, oh, thank you. So we have the inbound, outbound winds. What I'm going to show you here too, I'm going to turn off the warnings again, just because it really helps us spot those reds very closely. So we're seeing a brief little couplet south of Sheldon, south of Iroquois, and just west of Brook is where we're seeing some signals of rotation there. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna kind of drag this entire line out for you, and that's going to tell us when the leading edge is going to be approaching your particular area. So it's all focus at this point really is on Newton and Jasper counties. The worst of it is moving through Newton County, and it's going to be moving into Jasper County shortly. So here's some arrival times for you. You can go ahead and read those on your screen while I'm going ahead and kind of flipping through different products here. But for those of you in Wheatfield, going to be heading your direction at about 4:26. Right now your time is 4:21, so in about 5 minutes. Goodland, 4:27, Rensselaer, 4:27, 4:35, and Remington, Hanging Grove, about 4:37. And then for those of you in Wolcott, Francisville, looks like about 4:42. So this line, it is moving rather quickly. It's cruising through at about 50 to 55 miles per hour. But the worst of it, again, is for those of you in Newton and Jasper counties. We still have, for those of you in southeastern Kankakee County, we still have that blinking confirmed tornado warning. But again, I do want to reassure you that if you're in Kankakee County, the worst of it is now to your east. Same thing just about for most of you in northeastern sections of Iroquois County. We're also seeing the worst of it being just east of you. So let's zoom things over to Newton and Jasper. Again, we're going to start focusing on where we're seeing those brief signs of rotation. Right now, we're seeing a couple of them. So there's a couple different areas that we really have to keep a close eye on. If I zoom things in right on the county line, really, with Porter and LaPorte County and Jasper, where you see them coming together right here, kind of a 3-point corner here, we have a weak sign of rotation there. Sliding to the south, right along the border of Newton and Jasper counties, basically anywhere where you're seeing this area of green showing up, that's representing some at least weak rotation that we have, and that's the reason that we're seeing these tornado warnings being issued. Now, some of the stronger signals seem to be where we have this little couplet that's showing up. Let's go ahead and get some road names for you here. This is west of Parr, just west of I-65. So for those of you that are near I-65, if that's your marker in your area to give you an idea of where you're living or where you're at, just west of I-65, and what road is this? East State Road 14. We do have some pretty significant signs of rotation at this point. So we do not have a confirmed tornado at this point of the storm. But it is going to be something that we have to look out closely for. I know that there are some spotters that are kind of throughout northwest Indiana, as well as the far south suburbs, places like Ford County, Iroquois County. They have several spotters that are out as well. All right, I am going through right now. Whenever you hear me just take a brief pause, I'm essentially looking through the National Weather Service chat. So it's essentially a chat room with the National Weather Service folks. It's a direct line of communication to really give us, a very cohesive view of what's going on, and we can kind of tap into some of their resources as well. So big picture view here, all of the little notches that you're seeing here between the reds and the greens, that's all separate areas of rotation moving through Newton and Jasper counties. The worst of it at this point looks to be moving right over I-65. For those of you, I-65 near Rensselaer, just west of Rensselaer. This is near Surrey, Parr, Mount Ayr. This is where we could be potentially dealing with a possible tornado. So for those of you in this region, if you haven't already, please get to your safe space. We'll turn the radars back on here. And we do have still a tornado warning extending throughout Newton County into Jasper County as well. And we also have, very torrential downpours as well. So you're not going to be able to see these tornadoes if they are indeed on the ground. So for those of you in Newton and Jasper counties, if you're hearing this message, if you know somebody who's even just traveling through the area, make sure that they know that they're in a very large area that's highlighted for possible tornadoes, because we're going to have those brief little spin-ups being possible. Now, let's go ahead and I'm going to put a track on this again. And the reason for that is, one, I want to give everybody as much heads up as they can if you're out ahead of these storms still. And they're moving east at about 50 to 55 miles per hour. So we'll go ahead and give you a little lead time here. For those of you in Wheatfield, about 428. So within a few minutes, this is essentially going to be overhead. Go ahead and take a look at some of those arrival times on the left side of your screen, again, with this line of storms that's moving through Newton and Jasper counties. Latest update that I'm seeing from the Weather Service that's coming in, that there's still a lot of those weak vortices that I was mentioning to you. That's where we're seeing those reds and the greens, the couplets coming together. So essentially, whenever you have those, that's at least signaling that we could be seeing some brief spin-up tornadoes. And we, as far as I can tell, I have not seen reports of damage coming out of Newton County just yet, but we have had damage coming out of Iroquois County, Ford County, with these storms as they move through. So it's the same line of storms that are continuing to march off toward the east. But fortunately, once we get through this is kind of it for a round of severe weather as far as thunderstorms are concerned and the tornado threat. So that's going to drop off very, very quickly once we get on the backside of this line. Once again, we have one thing I kind of want to remind you of too is this area that we're looking at within the viewing area, unfortunately, it's rather far from the radar site, which unfortunately isn't a great thing, because when you're talking about a radar site, the farther that you get away from it, those radar beams essentially see farther in elevation above the ground. So in portions of Kankakee County, Iroquois County, Newton, Jasper counties, it's harder to get an idea of what's actually taking place at the ground because the radar beam itself is actually seeing at a higher elevation. So when we turn on the storm relative velocity, or we're seeing these signals of rotation, this is higher up in the atmosphere, not so much right at the ground. So we really have to play it really cautiously because we don't have a good view of what's going on at the ground. So for those of you in that area, again, please be in your safe space. Newton, Jasper counties, you still have that tornado warning that's going to be remaining in effect until 4:45 for the northern extent, most of Jasper County, I should say, and then the southern extent of Jasper County down toward Rebington. Your tornado warning is going to be lasting until about 5 p.m. So let's turn the radar back on, and I want to show you kind of what's moving through all of Newton and Jasper counties. So basically, you're not getting out of it without getting hit with the storms themselves. Now, does that mean that it's one big tornado? No, we have multiple little areas of vortices that are showing up. That are making their way off toward the east-northeast at about 55 miles per hour. Now, for those of you that are in this highlighted area that's blinking in purple, basically everybody is past the worst of the storm with the exception of those of you that are south and east of Morocco. This includes places like Brook, and then over toward essentially I-65 is where we're still seeing some of the worst of this particular part of the storm. Now, switching things back over to storm relative velocity, again, this is the product that we look at to essentially highlight where we're seeing those brief little vortices showing up. So if I turn the warnings off here, then we can more easily see the reds and the greens coming together. And I am seeing some signs of rotation near Brook and Kentland. So this is kind of smack dab in the middle. It looks like north of Route 24, west of, let me get this road name here, Forsman. Yes, it looks to be East State Road 16. So south of East State Road 16 and north of Route 24. So right in this little quadrant here between Newton, Goodland, Forsman, and Brook is where we have a little bit of rotation that's showing up, and that can also be confirmed here with our rotation detector. And this is all going to be heading toward Rensselaer. We also have another little sign of rotation that's showing up. This is just west of 231 in Parr, and this is now east of 65. So between 65 and 231 in Parr, this is where we also have some rotation showing up, possible tornado. And then for those of you that are, again, kind of between 65 and 231, but a little farther north, near Moffett, Virgie, Deer Park, just south of, or just west of Neiman, that's where we have another little area that's beginning to show up. So I'm getting a report out of Newton County. Let me just read this real quick. It says at Fair Oak Farm, there were significantly increased winds. So in Newton County, seeing those winds ramping up as well. It looks like I still haven't seen any particular damage coming out of Newton County. If you are in this region, you know of damage, please let us know. But at this point, I haven't seen damage coming out of Newton County. Now, something really grabbing my eye is near DeMott. This is at essentially right over, what is this, what street is this? Zoom way in. We have South Halleck Street. So for those of you north of East Division Street, on South Halleck Street, we're seeing some strong rotation at this point. If we go ahead and put on the storm relative velocity, again, we do have those reds and greens kind of coming together here. The debris, I'm not seeing an overly strong debris signature with this. There's a little bit, but that could even be residual of when this tornado was actually on the ground farther west of there. But regardless, that is a pretty strong sign of rotation that we were seeing here on our rotation tracker. So again, for those of you in this region, just kind of make sure that you are getting to your safe space. If you are in northern Jasper counties, especially along 231, just east of 231, we are seeing those signs of rotation and possible tornadoes with this. I'm switching on over to National Weather Service chat to take a look at that. I'm going to switch over to the radar product here as well and give you a big picture view of what's taking place. So all of the action at this point, at least the severe stuff, that is essentially across the southern leg of Chicagoland. So for those of you in Northwest Indiana now, in Newton and Jasper counties, also for those of you in Kankakee County previously, not only did you have that confirmed tornado warning, but you did have that tornado watch extending until about 8 p.m. That too has been canceled. So once this line clears Newton and Jasper counties as well, then you're likely going to be cleared from that tornado watch. But as it stands, there is a tornado watch that remains in effect until 8 p.m. for Newton County. But again, once this line passes, I think that's likely going to be dropped. And then our severe threat as far as thunderstorms go, going to be over. For those of you in Jasper County, most of Jasper County, you have a tornado warning remaining in effect until 4:45. So that's another 14 minutes or so on this part of the storm. And then south of there, and the far southern extent of Jasper County, down toward I-65, just north of Route 24, that's where we have a tornado warning that's remaining in effect until 5 p.m. So it's going to be going on a little bit. So for those of you in the southern portion of the viewing area, Newton, Jasper counties, we do have that tornado watch remaining in effect till 8 p.m. Tornado warning is going to remain in effect in Jasper County until 4:45. We have several areas of rotation that we've been seeing here popping up. So for those of you, especially in northern Jasper counties near Wheatfield, we have some fairly decent rotation that's showing up just east of 231. And again, this warning is going to remain in effect here, likely until about 4:45. But these storms, good news here is that they are cruising. They're moving to the east at about 50 to 55 miles per hour. I also want to get a close eye on what's happening over in southern Newton and Jasper counties. So where you see these areas of green kind of popping up here, and if I get rid of the warnings for just a moment, you can kind of see what we're looking at here. Those little notches where you're seeing them come together near Goodland. This is just north of Route 24. These are typically some signals that we're looking for. Those are supposed to be arrows, by the way. I'm just struggling with my mouse right here, but these are the areas where you can see a little bit of rotation coming together. That's where we're kind of concerned about possible tornadoes being out there in southern Newton and Jasper counties. This is also coinciding with an update that I'm just now seeing coming in from the National Weather Service. They too are keeping a very close eye on Goodland, and this is in southern Newton County because of these little eddies that we're seeing showing up here. So switching things over to the radar, one thing I really want to point out here is if you are in this region, you're not going to be able to see the tornado. So if you're hoping to get a glimpse of it, and you should be in your safe space, ideally, you're not looking out the window, but you're not going to be able to see the tornado coming because it's going to be rain wrapped, and we have very heavy rain in this particular region. Not only that, we're going to have thunder and lightning as well, so there's other threats going on. This is not a confirmed tornado at this point, but we do still have that tornado warning remaining in effect, and this is all radar indicated. So previously today, we actually had a confirmed tornado that was on the ground in Iroquois County, southern Kankakee County, and then it did track into northern Newton County. Right now, what we're focused on is southern Newton and Jasper counties. That's where I'm talking about with Goodland, heading toward Remington. So if we put on the rotation detector here, I'm going to put a track on this. So really all along this entire line, it's moving east at about 50 to 55 miles per hour. So this is almost through the Fox 32 viewing area. And once this clears Jasper County, we will pop off of coverage here, and then you'll be able to get back to regular programming. But the rotation showing up here, following that line of rotation, is essentially going to be in Remington at about 4:44. Right now, your time is 4:35. So for those of you in Remington, you have about 10 minutes to prepare. Hanging Grove, same thing, about 4:49 in Francisville. North Judson, about 4:49. Wolcott, 4:50. So these storms are almost through the viewing area at this point. Something else that I want to get a look at here is going to be the power outages, because oftentimes that can be a really good indicator about where we're maybe seeing a little bit of damage. So if we turn off the not only just the warnings here, but it looks like we're not seeing a ton of power outages popping up in Kankakee, Iroquois, or Newton and Jasper just yet. But I am seeing an update coming in from one of the emergency managers down that way, specifically in Iroquois County, that is aware of power poles being snapped. So we're likely going to be seeing some power outages coming out of that location. The radar right now, we have most of the activity across the southern extent of the viewing area. We still have that tornado warning remaining in effect for most of Jasper County until about 4:45 p.m. for those of you in southeastern Newton County, southern Jasper counties. This particular leg of the tornado warning is going to remain in effect until 5 p.m., so we still have a little ways longer. For those of you in Newton County, you are almost free of this. It's just really the far southern extent near Goodland at this point that we are still seeing potentially a tornado because of that rotation that we've had kind of going back and forth here. Right now, the strongest rotation that I'm seeing is up near Rensselaer, also another one in Goodland heading toward Remington for those of you near and north of I-24, and then right along I-65. That's my area that I'm kind of the most concerned at this point. If we put on the rotation detector, overall speaking, it does look like the rotation is showing signs of weakening. So over the last 30 minutes or so, it was really strongest farther to the west. But regardless, you know, we're really kind of playing this on the safe side at this point. It looks like Iroquois County has now been officially pulled from the tornado warning. So for those of you in Iroquois County, you are now free of that. Wouldn't be surprised if this tornado watch is also going to be dropped soon. For those of you in Newton County, most of Newton County, you still have a tornado watch remaining in effect until 8 p.m., but again, that's likely going to be dropped early. And then our active warnings that we still have is the tornado warning throughout most of Jasper County until 4:45 p.m., southern Jasper County lasting until 5 p.m. And one thing that I think we can take note of and really be positive about is looking east of Jasper County. Notice how this is highlighted in orange. So that is not a downstream tornado warning. That's actually a downstream severe thunderstorm warning, meaning that the overall threat of tornadoes at this point, while it still exists in our viewing area, the overall trend is that we're starting to see those weakening. So, you know, it looks like we are hopefully moving in the right direction here, but regardless, I still think this is going to be through our viewing area, through Jasper County, probably within the next 20 minutes or so. So we'll go ahead and track the leading edge of this for you. Again, we are still working with the potential of tornadoes moving through the far southeastern extent of Newton County and then also through Jasper counties. These will be rain-wrapped tornadoes. We so far today have been able to confirm one tornado because we had a spotter on the ground that actually saw it with their eyes, and that was confirmed with the debris tracker, and we saw debris that was up lofted in the air that was in Iroquois County into southeastern Kankakee County and northern Newton County. Right now, this line of storms is still working through Jasper County. So some arrival times for you, Remington about 4:40, so momentarily. It's basically right overhead. Hanging Grove at about 4:42, Madairyville 4:44, Francisville right around 4:47, 4:51 for Monon. Reynolds, it looks like Monticello, Monterey, you know, after the 5 o'clock hour. But again, that is getting a little east of the Fox 32 viewing area. So the plan here is that we're going to stay with coverage for as long as this active warning is going on in Newton and Jasper counties. Right now, the southern leg of this lasts until 5 p.m. Throughout Jasper counties, it's until 4:45. The rest of the viewing area, it's actually rather quiet. So again, we do apologize for interrupting your programming. For those of you throughout the majority of the Chicagoland area, it's just rain at this point. And for a lot of us, it's fairly light. We still have that flood advisory that's remaining in effect across Will County, northern Kankakee County. This does extend into northwest Indiana throughout Lake and Porter County, and that's for all of the heavy rain that we picked up earlier. But the reason, the purpose that we are on the air with you right now is because of all of the tornado warnings that have been popping up across the far southern extent. So Newton County, Jasper counties. For those of you that may know somebody in Benton County, that is just outside of the Fox 32 viewing area. However, this is a part of the same line of storms that's also creating some tornado warnings throughout Jasper counties now. Now, for those of you that are in southeastern Newton County, so Goodland, we were just talking about you about 5 minutes ago, showing signs of rotation, but the worst of it now appears to be just east of you, technically likely still in Goodland, but now the worst of it is over in Jasper County. So I really wouldn't be surprised if that little sliver of the warning that you see here extending from Kentland over toward Goodland in the southeastern extent of Newton County, that's likely going to be dropped here pretty soon, likely prior to 5 p.m. It now appears like that tornado warning, which what we were kind of feeling hopeful about earlier, that it was not extended to the east. It has now just been extended to the east. Once again, Pulaski County, though, Indiana, that is no longer in the viewing area, and neither is White County. So once we are cleared of this tornado warning in Jasper County, that is when we will likely dip you back over to local coverage of programming. But for right now, we still have several areas of rotation that are showing up throughout Jasper counties, especially just east of Rensselaer, just east of 231. This is going to be heading toward Hanging Grove. We also have another little area that I'm keeping a close eye on. Let me draw a circle on here for you. This is just east and basically overhead of 231 and I-65. For those of you in this region just north of Remington, between Remington and Rensselaer, we have signs of rotation there. We're also seeing multiple right around Rensselaer. And then another one that is just west of Remington. So essentially near Rensselaer, Remington, that's where I'm kind of seeing some of the stronger signals throughout the counties of Jasper and Newton counties. That's where I'm most concerned about, is these three little areas that you see showing up. Let's compare this now to the rotation detector. And there you go. That's where we're seeing some of those stronger signals as well, those brighter shades of green showing up. If we look at the debris tracker, here's something that I do feel really positively about. While we are seeing some signals of rotation, the debris detector is not showing a debris ball that is up in the air at this point. So previously today, with this line of storms, we actually did have debris that was being picked up by the radar, meaning that it was picking up debris from the ground, whether that was just from dirt, surroundings, trees, bushes, possibly structures. We had some debris that was lofted into the air west of us over in Iroquois County, parts of Kankakee and Newton County, northern Newton County. But this southern leg of the storms here, moving through southern Jasper counties, fortunately, we are not seeing that at this point. But regardless, there's still at least some weak rotation. And the reason that we have to keep a close eye on it is just because this stuff can happen so quickly, and it's rain wrapped, so you're not going to be able to see it either. So on the radar here, all of the reds, the oranges, even the purples that you're seeing showing up between Rensselaer and Remington, right along 231, that's some very, very heavy rain. We could also be dealing with a little bit of small hail with this as well. I haven't seen a ton of hail reports coming out of this, but I do know that the severe thunderstorm warning that was originally issued was actually for penny-sized hail being possible as well. So in addition to the heavy rain, the tornado threat, we could be dealing with those damaging wind gusts as well as even some smaller hail coming out of this. Big picture view, main action at this point really is throughout Jasper counties. Everywhere else, it's just light rain showers at this point. It looks like for Newton County, we are getting an update from the National Weather Service that it appears that they are going to be clearing the tornado warning from southeastern Newton County. So for those of you in Newton County, you're going to be free of that warning very shortly. And then I really wouldn't be surprised if that tornado watch is also going to be dropped for you here pretty soon, because once this line rolls through, then the severe weather threat is over. And then all attention really is going to be turning to the high wind risk that we're going to see tonight and then into the day tomorrow. We actually have a wind advisory that's going into effect for the entire area tonight at 6 p.m. So in about an hour from now, lasting until 3 p.m. tomorrow. Now, in Jasper counties, the northern portion of Jasper County, you're actually doing pretty well. We are still seeing some heavy rain coming down just west of Madairyville. I'm not seeing an overly concerning sign of rotation near Madairyville. There's a little bit of weak rotation, but not something, to be honest with you, that I'm really concerned about just west of Madairyville at this point. So just west of 421, Madairyville into Jasper counties, you still have some pretty strong storms, likely some very gusty winds. But the area that I'm a little more worried about is where we're seeing these reds and greens kind of coming together near Remington and near Rensselaer. So there's a couple different areas along this line of storms where you're seeing this green showing up here on the rotation detector that we could be seeing potential brief little spin-ups. It looks like the tornado warning for Jasper County, which is, of course, the one that we've been talking about here from Rensselaer through Remington. Good signs here. The Weather Service just cleared the area that I was just mentioning to you west of Madairyville, where the signs of rotation weren't looking nearly as strong. So that's been cleared. So the only warnings that we still have at this point look to be southeastern Newton County, and that's going to be cleared very, very shortly here. We already got an update from the National Weather Service that they were working on clearing that. And then for those of you that are in southern Jasper counties near Remington, and where you see the county bend here where it meets up with White County, that's where we have a little bit of the storms left over still rolling through. So near 231, and it looks like, what road is this? Bear with me for a second. Route 24. So where 231 and 24 come together in Remington, so just south of Fountain Park, that's where we're seeing some at least weak little notches that are showing up here when it comes to the velocity and the rotation detector. So for those of you in this region, again, you are seeing at least some very heavy rain, possibly some weak rotation. There could be a brief little spin-up tornado in southern Jasper counties, but at this point it is not a confirmed tornado. I do want to slide things over. It looks like this little sliver. For those of you in Hanging Grove, you are still included in the tornado warning as well, now lasting until 5:15. So this has actually been extended through Hanging Grove. So for, it looks like east of Rensselaer toward Hanging Grove. There's still some weak rotation, and it's enough to where the Weather Service opted to kind of put in another small warning there, lasting until 5:15. So let's take a look at the rotation. For those of you in Hanging Grove, also Rensselaer, we're still seeing some weak rotation near you, but you are no longer included in the warning. But east of Pleasant Ridge, and this is now west of Hanging Grove, McCoysburg. For those of you, if this is ringing a bell, this is now in your area where we have some rotation overhead. So this is right along East State Road 114, going into Hanging Grove is where we have some rotation. So that's why this tornado warning was just issued until 5:15 for this small little sliver of Jasper County, and then that's going to be extended over into Pulaski County and White County also until about 5:15 p.m. So again, for those of you near Hanging Grove in southeastern Jasper counties, you've been re-added to the tornado warning until 5:15. So let me go over to my National Weather Service chat. I'm reading through some updates that are coming in from them. Straight line winds still a main concern. Brief tornadoes, which of course that's the reason that we're on the air with you this evening because of these tornado warnings. And some of the same areas that we were talking about over near Remington, we're still seeing some weak signs of rotation there as well. So in Remington, up into Hanging Grove area, we do have some weak rotation, but very, very heavy rain. So again, for those of you in this area, you're not going to be able to see the tornado if there is indeed one that briefly touches down on the ground. Let's go ahead and we are going to give you some arrival times here because I think, a lot of people are ready to kick these storms out of here. Let's see how much longer we have until they're gone and out of the region. For those of you in Francisville, this is going to be your way in about 4:53, and I believe that's just outside of the viewing area as well. So that kind of gives us an idea for those of you that are on that small little sliver near Hanging Grove. When you were added to the tornado warning until 5:15 p.m., I think that's likely going to be cleared a little bit earlier because by Francisville, which is outside of Jasper County, it looks like this is going to be your way in just 4 or 5 minutes. So hopefully we can clear this tornado warning and be in the clear for this small little sliver of one in Jasper County shortly. For those of you in the far southern extent, again, we still have that tornado warning that's remaining in effect until 5 p.m. So we're getting really close to this expiring as well. The storm relative velocity and some of the rotation, we're not seeing a ton at this point, but it's been enough to where the Weather Service has definitely wanted to continue that warning. Something else that we are concerned about is straight line winds. So along with some of these storms, even in the event that there's not a tornado on the ground, which again, this is a very rural area. There's not a lot of eyes on the ground at this point, but we have not seen any on the ground reports that are coming in. So it's really difficult to be able to confirm a tornado in some of these locations when we don't have eyes on the ground and when you're so far away from the radar site. I explained this a little bit earlier, but for those of you that possibly are just joining us, whenever you're looking at the radar and the farther away that you are from the radar site, so our particular radar site is in Romeoville, which is way up in Will County. It's near Joliet. So when we're talking about places like Newton County, Jasper County, we're really far from the radar site, which means that the radar beam is actually seeing quite a ways above the Earth's surface. So it's harder to get a really clear picture of what's going on at the ground. So unfortunately for locations like Newton and Jasper counties, we do really rely heavily on spotters on the ground to tell us what they're seeing at ground level, because we have a better idea of what's going on up in the sky, up in the atmosphere. So at this point, when we're seeing signs of rotation, it's actually a little bit higher up in the atmosphere. Now, for those of you in Hanging Grove, I do have some good news for you. Your tornado warning, it's going to last until 5:15 p.m. But notice where we're seeing those shades of green. So that's where we have those little couplets coming together, those inbound, the outbound winds, so those brief little spin-ups being possible, beginning to move out of Jasper County. So I think we're really in the home stretch here. For those of you in Francisville, possibly you're still getting our signal just outside of the viewing area. Over in Pulaski County, your tornado warning is going to remain in effect until 5:15 p.m. And it does appear like we have some weak rotation that is beginning to move your way. But in Hanging Grove at this point, we still have some pretty heavy rain, but I do think that the weaker signs of rotation that we're seeing are actually beginning to move just east of Jasper County. So that's very, very promising. For those of you in Remington, we still have at least some weak rotation that are in the area, just barely in Jasper County. So this is now south of Route 24 and then just east of 231 and north of 65. So if you think of those three roads here, so we've got I-65 right here, and then we've got Route 24 on this cross section, and then here's your 231. So the greens that I'm referencing here, the weak rotation that we have showing up on the radar is now east of Remington, and it's beginning to move over White County and then portions of Pulaski County as well. So in Jasper County, we still have those tornado warnings that are still active at this point, but I am beginning to feel a little more confident that the worst of it is beginning to move off toward the east. I'm reading through some updates from the National Weather Service. They have officially completely cleared Newton County from any of the watches. So previously we did have that tornado watch that was throughout Kankakee as well as Newton County. Now we just have the watch that's remaining in effect for Jasper County, and then this tornado warning that's continuing across the far southern extent of Jasper County and the far southeastern extent as well near Hanging Grove. But again, the worst of that storm really is beginning to work its way off toward the east. So that tornado warning, it has been expanded to the east over to Pulaski County. We also have it expanded into White County as well, just a small little sliver of that, but the worst of it beginning to move away from the Fox 32 viewing area. For those of you in Remington, you are still kind of in the thick of it when it comes to heavy rain. There's some signs of weak rotation at this point, but it does appear like that rotation is actually east of you and over into White County, where we have that tornado warning until 5:15. We have the severe thunderstorm warning that's lasting until 5:30. So we're going to, stay with you for another minute or so here and talk about the rotation that's in Jasper County. You can see in this small little sliver, we're still seeing some at least brief discoloration, but the worst of it does appear to be moving to the east. So that's wonderful news. Now, zooming things out, I'll give you a big picture view here real quick before I let you go. And we have scattered rain showers throughout the rest of the area. We do still have that flood advisory that's remaining in effect across northern Kankakee County, southern Will County, into Lake and Porter County as well. The tornado warnings for Jasper counties technically going to remain in effect until 5 p.m. across southern Jasper County, southeastern Jasper until 5:15, but I really wouldn't be surprised if that's cleared a little bit sooner. And then once we're on the back side of this, then all attention is going to be going over to the winds. We have high winds that are going to be moving into the area tonight with wind gusts as high as about 55 miles per hour. Pretty soon, we're going to send you on over to Lou, and I will possibly see you after that.